Good day, my lords and my ladies. 'Tis not a fine day to innovate? Today, innovators, we shall be making catapults. We'll be making catapults out of stuff that you have at home. You can use pencils, popsicle sticks, some rubber bands, and bottle caps to make these awesome engineering feats. All right, let's gather our materials and let's get to work.
All right, so for this project, we're gonna need some popsicle sticks. And you can use some other materials like pencils if you don't have any popsicle sticks. You'll need a couple of straws, some rubber bands, one large bottle cap, a pair of scissors, a glue gun. You can also use regular glue if you don't have a glue gun, and a little bit of tape.
All right, now that we have all of our materials, it's time to start building. We're going to start off by constructing the base of our catapult. You'll notice that we'll be using a lot of triangles in our design. Triangles are used in engineering and architecture because they are some of the strongest geometric shapes out there. They equally distribute pressure, and that's something that's going to be really important for our build. So let's get to work.
So the first step is constructing the base of our catapult. We're going to take a couple of popsicle sticks and we're going to form what's going to be the base of our frame. So taking a little bit of hot glue, I'm going to stick these three popsicle sticks together. Now, if you don't have hot glue, you can use regular glue. You'll just have to give it some time to dry. Press down, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so for the next step, we're going to take a straw, and we are going to cut it into a few pieces. That looks good. All right. We're going to cut two small pieces of straw that are about 1.5 inches each. Now, if you don't have a straw at home that you can use, you can also just take a piece of cardstock or paper and then roll it up into a little tube and tape it up. Now, we're going to glue our two pieces of straw on the two ends of our U shape, like so. All right, and let them sit. If you're using regular glue, remember to let them dry. All right, so the two straw pieces that we just glued down are an important part of our frame. They are going to be the base of our pivot point. So we want to make sure that they're secure, and we're going to do that by applying a few more popsicle sticks. So along the back, the top part of the U, you're going to glue down another popsicle stick. You're going to stack two, like so. This is going to give you a little bit of height because you're going to glue another popsicle stick that's going to go across. So apply a little bit of hot glue on top of your straw piece. And then right directly across, you're going to put a little more hot glue. Now, you're going to go ahead and glue another popsicle stick on top. These two popsicle sticks are going to serve as a support to make sure that your straws stay in place. All right. They're also going to give your frame a little bit of weight, which will be good because it'll be the base of your catapult. All right, good work. Let's move on. Now that we've finished building the base of our frame, we want to create the two side walls. In this case, we're going to take some popsicle sticks and we're going to form them into triangles. Now, I'm setting them up against the base so that they're about the right size when I glue them. So take your time, do this carefully, and make sure that they will fit your catapult base. Looks good. Now, in order to make sure that your other triangle is the same size, you're just going to lay these on top of the structure you already built. So I'm laying one on top, applying a little bit of hot glue, and then taking my other popsicle stick and gluing it. Now, if everything works out, I should have two triangle shapes that are basically the same size. Nice. All right, so now it's time to attach them to the base. What I'll do is I'm going to apply a little bit of hot glue to the ends of my triangle pieces. And I'm going to carefully glue them to the base. One should rest right along the end of the base, and the other one should rest right next to the straw. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And work slowly. Okay, and I'm going to give this a second to dry and set. Okay, good work. Let's take a closer look at what we've built so far. Everything looks glued. Now remember, if you're using regular glue, you're going to want to give this some time to set. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply a little bit more hot glue to all of my joints just to reinforce my structure. This is also a good time to take a little bit of tape if you'd like, and you can also use tape to connect everything and again reinforce. All right, I think I'm happy with my frame so far. Now, I'm going to attach one of two crossbars, or cross beams that are going to go across my catapult, that are not only going to reinforce the structure, but they'll play an important role in the functionality of the catapult. So, I applied my first cross beam. That looks good. Okay. All right, now that we've built most of the frame, it's time to attach some rubber bands. Now, I don't have a large rubber band, so I'm going to take two smaller rubber bands and I'm going to knot them together. If you have a large rubber band, then go ahead and use that. Okay, now that my rubber bands are attached, I'm going to take a popsicle stick and I'm going to hot glue gun the rubber band to each end of the stick. Now, I'm going to leave a little bit of room because this popsicle stick will eventually be glued to the frame of my catapult. So, I'm leaving about 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Now, carefully place the rubber band on the hot glue. I'm going to let it stick. Now, another option, if you don't want a hot glue gun the rubber bands, you can also take a small piece of tape and attach them to this popsicle stick. Great. Has lots of tension. Looks good. Now, let's attach this to our catapult. Now, our frame already has one crossbeam, and we just created another crossbeam that has rubber bands attached to it. So, at the very top, I'm going to apply a little bit of hot glue, like so, and I'm going to place my crossbar with the rubber bands, making sure that the rubber bands don't glue on to the rest of the frame. All right. That looks pretty good. And again, if you don't have hot glue, you can take a little bit of tape just to reinforce those connections. But I'm happy with this. Looks good. All right, now we can move on, and we are going to start to build the arm of our catapult. So let's clear off our workspace. And let's grab the materials that we're going to need. We're going to need 3 popsicle sticks. You're going to put one down. That's going to be the center of your arm. And you're going to glue the other 2 on top, making sure that they touch right at the middle. So a little bit of hot glue on each end. Make sure the popsicle sticks touch right in the middle. Press them together, make sure it dries, and that looks pretty good. Excellent. Now, I'm going to take this a step further, and I'm going to take some tape, and I'm going to reinforce my catapult. I'll just wrap the tape around the arm. Like so. And that looks great. Now I'm going to grab another popsicle stick, and I am only going to need a small piece of it. So you want to use about 1/3 of a popsicle stick. There you go. I snapped it off, and I'm going to glue it to the bottom of my catapult arm. Now you want to glue it horizontally so that it forms a T shape. Okay, that looks pretty good. And this is a very important part of the catapult arm because that is what's going to connect to the axle of our frame. Now, the last element of the arm is the bucket. The bucket is what's going to hold your projectile in place. So on the opposite end, you're going to use some glue and you're going to attach the bucket. There you go. Now, you can reinforce yours with a little bit of tape if you'd like. But I think mine is ready to go. For the next step in our catapult, we're going to need a barbecue skewer. You can also use another small stick as long as it fits through your straws. So, I'm going to clear off some of that glue and I'm going to run my skewer across both straws, like so. Great. Now this axle is going to serve as the pivot point of my catapult, meaning that's what's going to allow the arm to move back and forth. So right at the center of the axle, I'm going to apply some glue. I will then take my arm and I'm going to tuck it in between the top crossbeam and the rubber band. And I'm going to glue it to my axle. Now my arm should be resting on my rubber bands and it should be resting on top of the axle. Okay, well, let's take a closer look. Great. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of tape and just to make sure that my catapult arm is secure onto the axle, I'm going to take 2 small strips and I'm going to attach them on each side of the arm, just like this. And you want to wrap it around to make sure that your catapult arm is secured onto the axle. Now remember, when your catapult arm is swinging, a lot of force and energy is going to be applied to the axle. So that's why I want to make sure it's reinforced. Great. Now, on the back of your arm, you should notice that one of the joints where the popsicle sticks connect, that's a great resting point for the rubber band. So I'm going to apply a little bit of glue, and I'm going to take my rubber band and I'm going to glue it to that point. I'll press there, and that just makes my rubber band a little bit tighter so that there's more tension when I pull back on my catapult arm. Okay, everything looks dry. I'll pull back a little bit and it should spring back up. Nice. Let's try it again. Great. Now, let's talk about what's happening.
Now, catapults were very popular medieval weapons, siege weapons, that allowed people to throw large objects a fairly long distance. The way that our miniature catapult works is that when it's pulled back, the rubber bands begin to store potential energy. And that potential energy is caused by the elasticity in the rubber bands. So we store the potential energy. Once we let go, that potential energy then becomes moving energy or kinetic energy, launching our projectile forward. So let's test it out.
All right, so I'm going to set my catapult down, and using my hand, I'm going to hold it down, and I'm going to pull all the way back. Perfect. Nice and springy, just like I want it. So, as we pull back on our catapult arm, our rubber bands are storing potential energy. Now, when I release the catapult arm, that potential energy is getting turned into kinetic energy, launching our projectile forward. So, I'm taking another smaller bottle cap, loading it onto the bucket, and pulling back. Here we go. Nice.
Engineers and innovators, what an awesome project. Good work today. We've now finished our catapults, and I encourage you to try different designs out. This is an awesome project to use design thinking. Design thinking allows you to test and tinker, to prototype, and then try it all over again. So try using different materials, try launching different objects, see if weight plays into the distance that your catapult can launch. One suggestion I do have is that when you are launching, you can tape down your catapult onto a smooth surface so that you don't have to hold it down each time. So remember to always think creatively and think critically. Thanks for watching the video, and catch the rest of them.